Welcome to our second video on the sweep picking string shift. Today we're going to talk about integrating more techniques into one, because that's really what we're doing here. We want one picking style, really. We want one thing going on down here, and that is always choosing the best, picking for the purpose. When I had practiced alternate picking for an extended period of time, really, focusing on it, and then I practiced sweep picking for an extended period of time, really going into that, then I was left with the challenge of integrating the two, because when I then tried to use my techniques to play solos with, I found that I had to almost, shift gears in order to go from one to the other. I had to, let me see the sweep picking. It was two different things in the brain, and I could go from one to the other, but it took some time, and I didn't have time when I was soloing. So I came up with a bunch of exercises that I still use today. Every time I come up with something new or learn a new sequence or a new lick, then I sit down, for instance. That's the first exercise, is really just to put on a jam track and then to use that new sequence or lick or technique together with all my other stuff. So I integrate it into that. So I can go from one thing to another, to a third thing, and then back to the new thing and back again. So it becomes an integrated part of what I do already. And that's a very, very important exercise. And then for this specific thing we're talking about here, which is alternate picking and sweep picking, we need to have a specific core exercise that will really, own in on the real challenge and practice the real challenge, and only that. And I've devised a simple exercise for you that will really do that. So we're going to look at that specifically in a second. And then, of course, I'll show you the intro run I did just there. And that run or lick is really based on the same principle of mixing alternate picking and sweep picking. And the more you do, that's another exercise, the more runs like that or licks you come up with that utilizes both techniques, the more effortless it becomes for you to go from one to the other, naturally, right? So that's about it. So I'll show you the exercise, the sweep picking, alternate picking exercise, and then I'll show you the lick note for note afterwards. So you can just go to those sections, whatever you want to look at right now. So let's look at it. The last time we looked at this merciless sweep picking exercise, which really has two challenges in it, where we just went down, down, up, down, up on the same two strings, right? And the reason why that is so hard to get up to speed and preserve the timing is that we change the direction all the time. So we have the changing of the direction where you pick a string, then you're out in the open here, has to turn back to the same string and get that to be an even flow of notes. And you have to go from string to string and have the timing right there as well. So you're not supposed to do this fast. You're supposed to do it right. So that's really, and if you do this enough, then you'll discover that all your other sweep picking licks will work much better. If you sit like this for 3 hours one night watching sitcoms, it really makes a huge difference. So let's look at the next exercise. You use muted strings again, and now we do four strokes on one string, down, up on the high E string, and then you go with that up stroke to the B string and hit that one time, and then you go to the G string and hit that 4 times as well, beginning with an upstroke, because that's what you have here, right? You go down, up, up. So that becomes the first out of 4 strokes on the G string. So you go up, down, down. And now you have a downstroke again, so you go down on the D string once, over to the E string, and go down, up. Then B string, up, and then 4 strokes here, starting with an upstroke on the G string, up, down. And then just continue in circles, going high E string, and so forth. And the cool thing about this exercise is that you start with alternate picking, really. So you turn on that circuit in the brain that says, right, on one string you go down, up, and then you move into sweep picking, and then you do alternate picking again, on one string, and then you move into sweep picking again. And this is really what most people refer to as sweep picking, because we're sweeping over two strings and not just one. So that's really a killer, if you will, exercise of really integrating those techniques together. And if you do this again, if you sit down at night, if you're in front of the TV anyway, you might as well pick up your guitar and go do that exercise. And it might seem incredibly boring and really, oh, do I have to do that? No, you don't have to do it. But if you want to do this and you're watching something, you can work with the metronome in the beginning, and then you can sit down and do this when you're watching TV anyway. And then when you pick up your guitar and you want to play some of the sweep picking licks you're used to, then you'll feel that added sense of control and accuracy when you do them, because you've done these exercises. And it's so robotic and so simple that, you can just keep on doing it thousands of times, even millions of times in a month or a couple of months. Let's put some notes to that. I've chosen an A 7th arpeggio, A minor 7th. So I have these notes to work with. So I have the 12th and the 15th fret on the high E string. Then I have the 13th on the B string. And then I have the 12th and the 14th on the G string. 15 and 12, 13th and 14th and 12th on the G string. But then I add some notes in between. So I have 3 notes on each of the outer strings here. So on the E string I have the 12th, and then I add the 13th. No, not the 13th. I add the note in the 13th fret, right? And on the G string I add the one in the 13th fret as well. So you take your A minor 7th arpeggio, and then you add the notes in the 13th fret on both the E string and the G string. So you get a chromatic lead note there, and you have an extra note from the scale on the high E string. So let me pick my way through that using our picking pattern. So I go up in the 15th fret, down in the 13th, and up in the 12th fret. And then I'm ready to go to the 13th fret with an upstroke on the B string. And then I sweep over to the 14th fret on the G string with an upstroke as well. Then I go down to the 12th fret on the same string, the G string, pick that with a downstroke, then the 13th, then the 14th, and now I'm back to using downstrokes to go to the 13th on the B string, and then the 12th on the E string. So same picking pattern as before. Let me play it slowly for you. I'm just looping it. A little bit faster. So that's what you see in the tabs anyway. You could also use a more classical sounding pattern. You could take a string skipping pattern, so you could use a D major and then put in that note in the 12th fret, just as an example. So you would have the notes in the 14th and the 10th and the 12th on the high E string. Then you would have a note in the 12th fret for your middle sweep picking note there. And then you have notes in the 11th, 12th and 14th on the G string. And that will give you the G major sound. And you can do the same thing there. 14, 12, 10, sweep over to the 12th fret. 14. So you apply the same picking pattern and the same order of notes, just to a new shape. Let me just play that slowly for you since it's not in the tabs. we're in the key of E minor, and I'm using the E harmonic minor scale. It's a good idea to, as I go through this run or lick, that you connect what I do to the shapes of the E harmonic minor scale, so you know where you are. So it doesn't just become, a bunch of movements and notes on the fretboard that's not connected to the tools you use. Because if you learn all this and it's not connected to the shapes, then all you can do when you've learned it is just play the thing. you can't break it up into bits and pieces and use it in your solo. So connect it to the shapes that you know on the fretboard. So let's look at it. We're in the 15th fret, the 14th, and the 12th fret. Let me just play, before I begin, let me just play the whole thing slowly for you, or semi-slowly. That's it. Let's take it from the top here, 15, 14, and 12, and then I'm moving down into the 11th, 12th, and 14th afterwards. So I have that shape there. You might want to maximize the video to full screen so you can see what's going on. So I start with an upstroke. I go up, down, up. So I play 15, 14, and 12. After that, I shift position and go down to the 11th fret and play that note. And then I play the 14th and 12th and the 11th again. One of the really well-known sequences of classical music and neoclassical metal. So 15, 14, and 12. Up stroke, down stroke, up stroke. And then 11th. And then up stroke 14, down stroke 12, and then 11th again. So. And as you perhaps noticed, we have the last picking stroke here was an upstroke. And we continue that to the 12th fret, B string. So we sweep over, and we sweep over again to the 12th fret once more on the G string, like that. So, and there are two ways to finger these notes. You can do it with you can hit that note on the B string in the 12th fret with your second finger, and then the 12th fret G string with your first finger. And that gives you really, it's easy to separate the notes when you do that. Because you can also just create a bar with your second finger and go. But then you'll have to roll over the two strings here. Not to have them ring out together. So you basically hold your finger like that for the B string, and then you push it down like that for the G string. This is a little thing you can spend some time practicing before you get it right. But I recommend that you use two fingers. You use just the second and the first for this. Once you're down there, let's just play this slowly. Right, so now we're in the 12th fret on the G string. And we move down with the downstroke to the 11th fret. Play the 12th fret again. And the 11th fret. So we simply go. Right? So. So you move down there to the 11th after you hit that G string there in the 12th fret. And play, use your second finger to play that note in the 12th fret. Right? And now we use that same sequence again from up here to play. So I go. Right? That's it. And then I hit the 14th fret with an upstroke. 12, down, upstroke 11th. And then I move down to the 9th fret. You can see that in the tabs. There's a little line between the notes every time I shift position. So I go. And then 14, 12, 11th, and then move down to the 9th, and then play 12, 11th, ninth again. Oh, sorry. And then, alright. 14th, 12th, 11th, 9th, 12th, 11th, and 9th. And then we move it down one bit again, down to the raised 7th of the E harmonic minor in the 8th fret. And then we play that note. And then we play the 11th, and the 9th, and the 8th again. So let's do it from here. Again, from the top. Right, and then from there, now let me see. And we basically do almost the same thing again. Once you're down here, you go down and hit the D string with your second finger in the 9th fret, right? And then you reach for the 10th fret on the A string with your third finger. And play the 9th fret and the 10th fret again. So you come from this. From the top. And then you hit the E there on the A string in the 7th fret. So let me just play that whole thing again without mistakes, a little bit slower. What you want to do when you're learning long stuff like this is that you want to focus on it a little bit at a time and then learn that so you don't have to remember it anymore. So for instance, if you just focused on this for 3 minutes, maybe that's a little too much for you, but maybe you would just go for because when you have that in your fingers, just by practicing it for a couple of minutes, then it's so much easier for your brain to grasp the next thing. But if you just try to consume the whole thing in one bite, then it can be overwhelming. So let's just focus on the first part again. Let me just play that again for you, just a little bit faster. Right? And then you jump down to that note. And let's separate the lick from there. So we begin here and we do a sweep of the E minor shape here, but I'm using the 9th here. I'm going for the 9th fret and the 10th fret, 7, 9, 10 on the A string. So downstroke first, upstroke in the 9th, and downstroke in the 10th. Then I reach for the 9th fret on the D string with the downstroke. And then I create a bar over to the G string with that same finger, and I'm kind of leaving I'm leaving the D string here as I go down and create the bar. Now it's so low that it's only touching the D string, right? So I go, and the only requirement of being able to do that is to use the tip of your finger and not go like that from the beginning. To use your tip of the finger on the D string, then put it down like that. And as you do, you actually, roll off the D string. So all you do now is just mute it. And then you get that separation between the notes, so you don't go... It becomes a chord, right? Once I hit the 7, 9, 10, and 9 D string, 9 G string, I go to the 8th fret on the B string with a downstroke again, and the 7th fret with a downstroke, hit the 12th fret with an upstroke, and then I pull off. Let's just do that again slowly. Downstroke first. And pull off. Then I go back down the arpeggio again. So upstroke from there, upstroke in the 8th fret, upstroke in the 9th on the B string, and then upstroke in the 9th fret on the G string. So. And then I go right back again to the G string with a downstroke, and down in the 7th fret on the E string with a downstroke as well. That's what I do in this sweep picking shape. Slow, the whole thing. What I do from here is simply go down to the next shape of the same arpeggio. So I'm still playing the E minor triad as up here. I play it down here instead. And so if you look at the tabs, you can see that there's a slide there between the 7th and the 7th, which is impossible, of course. But what I do is I'm shifting positions. So I'm just moving my hand down here, and I'm fingering the same note now with my 4th finger in the 7th fret. So I pick that, and I pull it off down to the 3rd fret. Then I hit the 5th fret with my 2nd finger, B string. Then I hit the 4th fret, G string, with my 1st finger. And then I hit the 5th fret again with my 2nd finger on the D string. And then I use my 4th finger, reach for the 7th fret on the A string. Right there. That's the sweep. And then we go into something else again, or a little bit of alternate picking. So let's just play that from the 7th fret again here. Alright? And together with the first sweep, or the major sweep you could call it, because we're doing it all the time, right, between the strings, but here we're doing it, more than one time in a row. And what I actually do when I play it fast is I use a little detail there that's not in the tabs, but I actually, instead of just going, I actually hit this first instead of the 7th fret with my 4th finger and go, and do a double time hammer on and pull off. So instead of going, I go, it sounds like this. So, right? So let me just play the two one more time. here, once I've hit that note in the 7th fret, I go, and that's of course with an upstroke because I come from only upstrokes. I go, so I play 4th, 3rd, and 4th. And then I move down to the 3rd fret with my 1st finger and play that, and then the 6th fret afterwards on the same string. Right, so I go 7th, 6th, 7th. Let me just play that with actual notes. 7th, 6th, 7th, 3rd, and 6th. Beginning with an upstroke. And then I do the same thing. I go down to the 2nd fret and play the 2nd and the 3rd, still using alternate picking. So I get that sequence again, right? And then I play the 5th on the low E string and the 3rd on the low E string, and then just the open E string. So 5th low E string, 3rd, and then open E string. Alright, so let's play that together with the arpeggio, the downwards one here. Again. And it's really the shifting from the sweep picking to the alternate picking that is really delicious here in this context, because it really trains your fingers to do that. So let's play it from here, the second part of the whole thing. You know. And with the first thing. Take the 9th there if you want to, but just a matter of how many notes you have. Or you can go whatever you really, because the cool thing about something like this is once you've learned it, try to change it as fast as you can. You know, try to make it your own by putting in your own stuff as well. So that's it. Let me just play the whole thing again, super slow. You could just not watch that if that's not necessary for you, but let me do it anyway if it benefits some of you. So here we go, super slow with the picking.